our keynote speaker for the second National Digital and Distance Learning Conference right here at Labadi Beach Hotel.
Thank you so much. Oh, please have a seat. Unless you want to exercise then. Is this not working? It's not working. I have to use the mic. All right. Thank you. Good morning to every one of you. I have to remind myself that I'm in Ghana, so I have to go through the protocols, honoring and acknowledging people who have already been acknowledged. But if you don't do that, you get into trouble. So therefore, let me begin. Deputy Minister for Education, Honorable Reverend Intim Fojo, the Executive Director of Sendelos, Nana Ejabo, Director Generals of GES and TVET Service, as well as Director Generals of other agencies at the Ministry of Education, the Lead Education Specialist, the World Bank, Dr. Latif, UNICEF Rep, our brother who had just spoken, Osama Kogali, UNESCO Rep, our brother Diallo, the Director, Open Distance and E-Learning of Malawi, Professor Joshua Valeta, the President of PM Global Trade Agency, the Head of Education Academic, Director of Open STEM Africa, the Director National Cybersecurity, Dr. Nchubo Siakun, Director of E-Learning at KNUST, the STEM Advisor to the Minister of Education, our own former Provost of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Dr. Adom Asamoah, and many others whose names were not given to me. Please feel acknowledged and recognized, and especially to the students and all the invited guests who are here, our friends from the media. It's an honor to have you here. If you don't come here, nobody hears what we're doing outside this room. So I truly cherish you, our media practitioners who are here with us this morning. We are in the fourth industrial revolution. The world is changing. Africa's place in the world is going to be defined by how we respond to the current era that we live in. The era of the steam engine, the first industrial revolution, passed us by. Electricity came, we didn't catch it. Then computers started with mainframe computers, big ones. Now, computers are on our phones. We didn't catch it much. We are in the fourth industrial revolution, the merger between the biological and the physical. You can enter your home by just looking into some mirror, and facial recognition software will allow you to do many things. There was recently a series of discussions on CNN. The West was talking about the dangers of AI, and I was saying to myself, we have not even gotten there to talk about the dangers. Africa have to wake up. When you look at the gross tertiary enrollment ratio of sub-Saharan Africa, 7%. 7%. And you know that around the world, different countries have changed their fortunes by increasing their gross tertiary enrollment ratio from 40 to 50 to 60%, and some are at 90%. We cannot but agree with the Brookings Institution based in the USA that we have to leapfrog inequality. Their research indicated that it was going to take developing countries, especially those in Africa, 120 years before we catch up with the West in education. But there was a caveat. Brookings people said that we have to leapfrog inequality. If you grew up in the countryside, you go to a river, you see a frog When the frog sees you, that is my interpretation for it to connect. When the frog sees you, do they walk, crawl? They just leap, right? All right. So in no time they disappear from your view, and you can't do them harm. So we have to leapfrog inequality. How do we leapfrog inequality? There are many strategies. I'm so happy that the next edition, when they wrote a report on the study by Brookings Institution, they cited Ghana. And they said that Ghana has implemented one of the most innovative leapfrogging strategy. And that is what is called the double track. You see, before Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo became president, he talked about the free senior high school. The fact that he was going to implement that. Over 60 years after independence, our nation said to those who were poor that if you are poor, after junior high school, stay wherever you are. And if you are lucky, go and learn some trade. Don't come anywhere close to our public senior high schools. And by the way, if after junior high school you sit for the exams and you don't do well, you get some high aggregate, don't come anywhere close to a public senior high school. In case your mom has some money, dad has some money, they should go and borrow to send you to a private senior high school because you did not score high enough. Interestingly, it's all the children from our public senior high schools who will not score well on the exams. And they were the ones who we told to stay put in their villages and that there was no opportunity for them. Then comes a president who was desirous and who knew the relationship between education and socioeconomic transformation. And he said, within the limited resources of this nation, every child should have opportunity for secondary education. But there are limited facilities. How do you get a vast majority of Ghanaians to go to school when you have limited facilities? We have to look for a leapfrogging strategy. I remember when the double track was announced, in what I call a very cool Tamale evening, President of the Republic announced that there was going to be something called double track. Within about 3 days, hell was breaking loose in this country. Those who could afford to send their children to school were saying, how dare you bring this concept to Ghana? In essence, the poor should remain wherever they were. So the program began. We were able to divide the number of students in every school into 3 cohorts. 2 of them will be at the school at any point in time. 1 will be home on vacation. And then we arrange in such a way that everybody will have more instruction hours. Yes, we reduced the number of school days from 180 to 162. But the instructional hours was increased. From 8 to 2:30, we now extended it for most schools from 8 to 4. Some schools do 7 o'clock to 3. By increasing the instructional hours by about 1.5 every day, we're able to provide more instructional hours for our students to enable them complete the school year and do better than those who were not on the double track. So when you begin to look at transformation of Africa and transformation of Ghana, you have to begin to take a look at the fact that if we don't leapfrog inequality and bring about transformation in a way that we never imagined, the fortunes of our countries will not change. The fortunes of Ghana will not change. Now, as I speak, we have about 1.4 million students in our high schools. Before free senior high school, it was 830,000. Look at this difference and what their lives are going to be. So we have to begin to look at other leapfrogging strategies, and there's no better leapfrogging strategy than digital. Digital learning, distance learning offers us one of the most important leapfrogging strategies to improve access, to improve quality, and to improve the relevance of our nation's education system, and do it in such a way that we can transform our fortunes. I don't want to see an Africa where 10, 20 years from now, we are lamenting about the same things that has confronted us over the years. Technology has given us something that can really change the fortunes of our countries. We need to grab it. We need to run with it. We need to change the course of history of Africa. I had a wonderful opportunity of teaching in the U.S. system, running schools in the U.S. system, and I always tell people that what I got from America was not the money I made. It was that sense that everything is possible. We have to catch it. We have to understand that everything is what? Possible. We cannot lament and talk about what some people did to us and what they didn't do to us as if we are still have our hands tied to our backs. We need to wake up and smell the coffee and change the fortune of our children once and for all. I'll show you some images and before I move on. Let's go. This is a public school under construction in Accra, the Accra STEM Academy. I know some of you will be lining up here in February to get your children here, your grandchildren here. I don't understand why private schools should look better than public schools. I mean, I don't get the logic. And I understand why we cannot create better learning environment for our children. It's not just going to be an Accra story. We started around the country. When the school is completed, this is how it's going to look like. The interior is going to be beautiful. I can't wait to see people line up here. Admission to this school, I'm sure, will be, and not sure, it's going to be by raffle, lottery. Yeah, because I'm going to see 5,000 people line up here. Who should get in? It's going to have to be by lottery. When you go in. That's the new kind of Ghana that we want to create. Now look at model junior high schools, which is part of our basic. And this is being done with the support of the Arab Development Bank, the other ones that are coming up, our model junior high schools. It's going to be very exciting to see parents lining up to go to these schools. This is not your old rectangular shape, yellow building, junior high school, sometimes dilapidated, run down. We have about 12 of them in a town like Jabin. A mid-sized town like Jabin should not have 12 junior high schools. Some 80 students, some 100 students. None of them has a library. None of them has science lab. When there's one of these schools under construction there at Jabin. And it's going to be a big celebration in the town. Because in January, February, when this school opens, they're going to see something they've never seen before. Biology, chemistry, physics, STEM, and computer lab will be here. The children are going to move from 19th century into 21st century learning environment. And in remote locations, we're going to follow the example of Kenya and begin to build our own science lab and STEM labs at the Ministry of Education so we can have mobile labs in the remote location where we can put up this building because we don't have the population to support it. This transformation is possible. But for those who will not get the opportunity to be in this building, I want you to also show how the students here will dress. I'm going to talk about those who have the opportunity to be here. How do we extend same learning environment of a quality that is befitting of the African child through digital learning and distance learning? And you can see that the picture is not too clear, but you can see from here that some of you tell me, oh, that's a private school. No, that is the new public school. They too They too can look nice. Public junior high school. But until we get the opportunity to create schools like that, how do we use digital learning to enhance teaching and learning? How do you use distance learning to enhance teaching and learning? I'll show you my last images, then I continue. The Efiakubi schools and what they are doing. So, I'm showing you the state of education, how we are changing the education space. There's a girls' school in Ashanti region. I visited them, and it's exciting to see what is going on here. They have unmanned aircrafts that they've developed. They have an unmanned boat that can go into the water in case somebody has drowned. It will be able to detect where that body is, designed by high school students. So you can see that if you give the African child a space to blossom, they will blossom and exceed your expectations. So if you look at that river body, they've deployed a boat there, and I think this is when they were walking to the river body to do that. And yes, they were holding, I like the fact that it had a flag of Ghana on it. Patriotic young ladies. So they have it, and it's there, and it's going on the lake, and they are reading what the boat is detecting. Then let's take a picture of the unmanned aircraft. I think the test flight of this. Did it fly? Yes, it's flying. And is it going to come back? Yes, it will come back.
Weasel 1-1, check it. Weasel 1-1 will proceed to the north hold at 25,000. Weasel 7-1, work Alpha, Quake 47.
It's back. I told you it will come back. So what began as a club has become an inspiration to many young ladies across the country. And we are going to now transition from being an engineering club into an aerospace and aviation academy. We are creating about 16 of them across the country. Every region is going to have one at minimum. So there will be about 20 aerospace and aviation academies. We are working with Duval High School in Maryland, the United States. We have looked at the aviation program, and it's something that we'll be able to build on. We're going to begin something that will bring students from West Africa to come to high school here in Ghana, to begin to look at how best we can develop the aviation aerospace industry on manned aircraft. We've got an interest expressed by the Minister for Defense. We're going to be working with the Ghana Air Force. Zipline has also expressed interest. So what I want you to know is that innovation and transformation is possible in Africa. And we have begun something that will transform our fortunes. But how do we extend this to other places in the country? Digital learning, distance learning. You see, those of you in Ghana, you may be familiar with 60-40. We've always said to ourselves that 60% of our students in the tertiary institutions should be studying science and STEM. We said to that, our president has mentioned it in their speeches. Everybody has talked about it. But I think we didn't mean it. Why? Because only 12% of our students are studying science in high school. How did they get to become 60% when they get to the university? Impossible. But now it's becoming possible with digital technology and distance learning. Virtual labs are being developed by Sandlos. So your school doesn't have to have a wet lab for you to do science. You can do science. We are aiming at doubling science enrollment in this country next academic year. And Sandros is leading the way. With their virtual labs developed in cooperation with Open University UK, just with a projector and a laptop, you can do chemistry experiments. The good thing about those experiments is that if you make a mistake and add the wrong chemical, when it blows up, it doesn't blow up in your face. It just blew up on the computer and then you walk free. It will not even destroy the computer. So what it means is that we can leapfrog. We don't have to build a science lab everywhere. We can leapfrog inequality and engage ourselves in science, education, and exploration in a way that has not happened before. But it doesn't mean the government is shirking its responsibility in terms of developing science labs. There has been a major investment in developing science labs and developing wet labs. I'll show you one or two for you to know our resolve to change the course of history of this country. The president is fully determined that he has to revamp Ghana's education system and move us in an area where transformation will become the norm. Look at a girls' school. I call Ahantamai girls. Even those of you from Ghana may not have heard of them, but they're doing some big things. Then you have St. James. Show the Ahantamai girls. This is a Bree girls.
Transform education in Ghana with a major focus on STEM.
I'm being given a sample for which I'm supposed to identify the salt that is present. The sample is unknown. I first dissolve the salt in a solution. Then I will add some amount of NaOH solution in drops first, then in excess. So with the observation that I've made so far, I can say that the salt or the sample that I was given is copper texture oxosulfate 6.
This has resulted in a massive transformation in our second cycle institutions, thus building laboratories for the study of physics, chemistry, and biology.
Most people would say that the renovation of our laboratories has had no impact on us. But ever since they were renovated, our lessons have transitioned from just being purely theoretical with an addition of practical.
So, that's just whet your appetite for more. All that we are saying is this: there's more to be done, and digital learning can come to the rescue. I'm happy to announce to you the first time publicly that we are going to develop and begin the Ghana Virtual High School. The virtual high school will give opportunity for our youth to enroll virtually and complete high school online. And then high schools are also going to use the instruction and resources on the virtual high school to improve teaching and learning in their schools. If we have a top performing teacher, for example, at Presec, who are very famous for science, that teacher can teach the whole country virtually. asynchronous. In real time, other teachers will stop their instruction and pay attention to what the great instructor from Presec will be teaching. After that, they can do all the activities and then continue from there. So instead of training and waiting for more teachers to be trained to become great instructors, you leapfrog inequality by extending the services of one great instructor to all high schools in the country. That is what distance education should be doing for us. That is what virtual education should be doing for us. That is how we transform our fortunes as a nation. I was looking at the data of students who are pursuing science in our various regions. And I'll just give you an example. Hartford region, 10% of the students, 10.4 of the students are doing science. You look at one other region, 15%. That's a central region. You also have a region, Northeast, with only 3% doing science. Digital learning, distance learning can change the Northeast number from 3.1 to a very high number. So when we say we want to double enrollment, we are going to double it. Using virtual resources, we'll be able to double science enrollment. And some of you say, oh, science enrollment, STEM enrollment, what about other subjects? We are changing our curriculum in such a way that beginning next year, it's not going to be that a science student in a high school only pursues science. Apart from the core subject, we have created space in their schedule to be able to pursue art, drama, be able to also do French. We are hemmed in by Francophone countries, and if we don't do French, what are we doing? So science students and all students who are pursuing engineering in high school will be able to get an opportunity to extend their knowledge and become well-rounded individuals. You know, I'm communicating to you this morning differently because, you see, people don't trust politicians in this country. That's why I'm taking my time to show you images. I call it evidence-based communication. You see, politicians are our worst enemies. It's getting close to election. So those of us who want to get us out of power are going to say, hey, this government have done nothing. Sometimes I feel for the ordinary Ghanaian who sits in her living room watching TV and the opposition party is saying, this government, they done nothing. Nothing. They took all the money. And no school has been built by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And I know if I was in opposition, I wouldn't do that though. But other politicians in opposition from my party may also do the same. At the end of the day, I can see a Ghanaian sitting in his living room and say, these politicians, oh my God, what are they doing to this country? So we are worst enemies. Therefore, when you come before the Ghanaian, the African, and you're talking as a politician, invariably, they don't believe you. They don't. So, evidence-based communication. That's all I'm doing. In case you hear that this government has built no school. No. Look at this. This is a brand new boarding school, the best of its kind anywhere in the world. I always say, in some country, this will be a college, but it's a high school in Ghana. And this is a STEM high school. And you know what we are doing differently is that this high school is affiliated with other high-performing high schools, and with remote teaching and learning, they get quality instruction at this high school. So the teachers may be young in the profession, but they don't have to wait and grow and learn after 6 years to become the best. Their students will benefit from best and high-achieving teachers across the country. We believe that the transformation that we have envisaged will be facilitated better through digital learning. And therefore, today, as we come to this second edition of this conference, I'm super excited. I also understand that offline technology solutions should be available so that we don't create a digital divide with huge consequences for us. We can't create a Ghana of haves and Ghana of have-nots in technology, which will have serious implications for socioeconomic transformation. So we are duly aware that we have to have offline solutions to ensure that you truly leave no child behind. Because if you leave a child behind, you're leaving half of the country behind, and you are leaving transformation behind. You have to fish for talent in every space within the country and make sure they all thrive and they all succeed. Ghana. Yes, thank you. That black star of Africa should shine brighter. And there's no other way to shine brighter than transforming our fortunes in the education space. I always say I'm one of the luckiest ministers for education in the world. I had a wonderful opportunity of teaching developing schools, and I come to this space, and I'm so lucky. I have a president who is super excited about education. So my job is made easier. I was on a TV interview recently, and I was telling them all the great things we are doing, and somebody said, so everything you ask, they give it to you? And I said, I'm lucky. Everything I ask, they give it to me. I have great friends at the World Bank, and they've been so supportive. Look at the excitement when they meet and talk about education transformation in Ghana, and they supported us with the Gallup Ghana Accountability for Learning Outcomes program and many other things that they're excited about. We have great friends at UNICEF, and we have great friends at UNESCO, and many other organizations, USAID, come and they bring solutions to some of the challenges that we face. Students who are in low-cost private schools are going to get a great announcement on Thursday at Tamale, where even private school students are going to get vouchers to attend private schools in Tamale and other areas by virtue of the fact that America had decided to invest in Ghana. Yeah, you can clap more so that we can get more money. But I just want you to know that we want you to join us on this adventure. I want you to be part of the Ghanaian history. I want you to say that, yes, we were in Ghana. At that time, I was a UNESCO rep. At that time, I was a UNICEF rep. At that time, I was working for the World Bank. We came to Ghana. We worked together. We created a nation that transformed its fortunes. We moved Ghana from this so-called low, middle income bracket to upper middle income. We can do that. But only through education can we embark on this journey and end at the intended destination, the destination where we hold poverty at bay, the destination where Africa is not defined by poverty and hunger. By the time when it will be said Africa has changed its fortunes, Ghana, together with other countries, can lead the way. So today, as you come here to work with us and learn with us and share your knowledge with us, I'm so excited that I happen to be the minister who is speaking to you now. You know, politician has a very short professional life cycle. When I walked in, you stood up, right? They mentioned my name, you stood up, right? Okay. Maybe 10 years from now when they mention my name. When I walk in here, nobody will stand up. So I want to use this time well. Now that when I walk here, you stand up, I want to speak to you and get you to work with me. Because in some time to come, when I speak, you may not be here. So together, let us change this country. Together, let us change this continent. Technology presents us the best opportunity at transformation. Sandals, we celebrate you, and our CEO, Ane Jabo, for your commitment and for your leadership and your staff and all the things that you are doing for us. We couldn't have asked for a better executive director for this organization than yourself. So we are very appreciative, and we're going to work together to work together to change the course of history of our nation. It's our time, and we can't waste this time. Thank you, and God bless our homeland, Ghana.